Shalom, holy adepts and holy initiates of the holy mysteries. In this video, once again, as usual, I'm going to go very deep, as I do in many of my videos, illuminating very esoteric, mystical knowledge and wisdom that has concealed for thousands of years from ye, Christians, and Goyim. In this video, the topic is Adam Qadmon, which is Hebrew for primordial Adam. There is a large swath of writings in the Qabbalah regarding this mystical topic. So I begin with a very basic introduction on some of the very basic aspects of Adam Qadmon, which we read in the account of creation, that we learn that principally this Adam Qadmon is made in the image of HaElohim, or the Sfirot. This is a very critical point because Adam is not within the Godhead. And this is going to become a very important point as we proceed deeper into the Holy Mysteries. He's not in the Godhead. He is outside of the Godhead. He is the first creation or byproduct of the Godhead or the Sfirot. And since the image is man, then the archetype, which is Hasferoth, must also then be like a man, right? This is just basic logic. And this is the reason why the diagram of Hasferoth is, or this is the reason why we superimpose a man upon the diagram of Hasferoth, demonstrating that the archetype, Hasferoth, is likened unto a man because the image is a man. So this is a very important foundational point that needs to be comprehended. Now, the second critical point is that Adam was created on the sixth day. So here, the Torah gives us a mystical equation between the number 6 and Adam. This is also very important. So then now we're going to proceed into some very deep mystical secrets from the Qabbalah regarding Adam Qadmon, which is that the first great secret is found in the first verse of the Torah, as many of the secrets are. And again, it is found in the first word of this first verse, which is Bereshith. Okay? And again, just a single Hebrew word in the Torah contains innumerable mysteries. As I've stated in a previous video, one of our most esoteric principle treatises is simply concerned with the 70 divine interpretations just found in the first word of the Torah, which is Bereshith. So that should give you a bit of a idea as to how, infinite in knowledge and wisdom the Torah is. Because the Torah is, after all, an image of the Holy Word. Now, the first word Bereshith may be split, or at least the first two words of the Torah may be read as "in the beginning was the Son," because the second word of the first verse of the Torah, which is bara, has many meanings or interpretations. It's not only a Hebrew word, but it also happens to be an Aramaic word. And in Aramaic, bara means the sun. So now, we Kabbalists can mystically read the first two words of the Torah as "in the beginning was the Son." Now, I'm sure all Christians know what this means, but so do we Jewish Kabbalists. In fact, much more than many of you Christians. Now, the next great secret and arcanum has to do with the secret behind the third letter in the Tetragrammaton, which I have explained in some of my previous videos, which is basically that it alludes to the Son within the Godhead. I put the emphasis on within the Godhead. And so we read in Sefer Tikkunei HaZohar in folio 14b, Tikkunei HaZohar is one of our most, if not our most esoteric principal Kabbalistic treatises, which deals, as I stated previously, with 7D divine interpretations just of the first word Bereshith in the Torah. And here we see in this very holy Kabbalistic book that we see again this equation between the number 6 and the Son of Yah, or the Son within the Godhead, right? So the Son within the Godhead, which is represented by the letter Wow, which has a gematria of 6, is equated with the Son of Yah, or the Son within the Godhead, right? Another secret in the word Bereshith is that when we permute the letters within the word, we can form 2 compound words, which are the first one is bara, which means he created in Hebrew, and then the word sheath, which is Aramaic for the number 6. So on one esoteric level, we can read it as he created the 6. But we also know, as I stated previously, that bara means the Son. So we can also read it as the Son equals sheath, or the 6. The Son is the 6, which is exactly what Tikkunei HaZohar tells us, because it already knows these divine esoteric mystical interpretations within the first verse. I'm just giving you the proofs here that are already contained within this holy book, right? So what do we learn from all of this? In summary, we learn that the Son, the divine Son, is equated with the number 6, which is represented by the Hebrew letter Wow. And I've already said it before that when was Adam created? On the 6th day. Again, everything is interconnected in this great tapestry that we call the Torah. And I'm hoping that ye are beginning to see how everything is interconnected. It's very, very mystical. Okay, so the great point then in all of this is that Adam then is the son of HaElohim. We can then begin to see that Adam is the son of HaElohim. HaElohim says that his first creation was his first image, which of course is going to be his son, right? When a human father creates something from himself, that is, he has a son, that son is also known as his image. And so we may say the same thing of HaElohim, that his first image is his son, who is created perfectly by him. HaElohim does not create anything imperfect. He does not create anything with error or flaws. This is his first creation, which is holy and perfect. If the archetype is perfect and holy and good, then it logically follows that his image must also be holy, perfect, and good. Now, the second critical point is that Adam is the son of HaElohim. Again, he's outside of HaElohim, or the Sefirot, right? What we have is, as I stated in my previous videos, we have what is called the Son within the Godhead. And then we have what we call the Son outside of the Godhead. Adam, who is the son of HaElohim, happens to be an image of the Son within the Godhead. So the Son outside of HaElohim, or the Sefirot, is an image of the divine Son contained within the Godhead. This is a momentous point of the highest order to comprehend. So now we move on to our next very, very esoteric mystical point that I don't think any Christians really know or understand. It is only known by us Jewish Kabbalists, which is that Adam happens to be the first incarnation of Mashiach. And if you are an ignorant Christian who is being shocked by this statement, already I can sense the chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion designed specifically to overwhelm your logic and reason, attempting to blind you from the simple and obvious truth that Adam is Mashiach. Now, the proof is found in the book of First Colossians in chapter 1, verse 14 to 15. This book a slightly Kabbalistic book, but does contain very esoteric Kabbalistic mysteries written by Shaul, who is a very, very initiated, highly initiated Kabbalist. There is no question about this. And his writings are very, very Kabbalistic in nature. And this is the reason why they have been misinterpreted by very ignorant Christians who don't know Hebrew, who are not initiated into the holy mysteries, and cannot understand the writings and the words of a very chief initiated Kabbalist of the likes of Shaul. Now, listen to this extremely, extremely mystical Kabbalistic mystery that he reveals here so explicitly in verses 14 to 15. Speaking on Yeshuah HaMashiach explicitly, he then states in regards to him, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature. We have a very, very mystical equation here, namely that the image of HaElohim is the Son of HaElohim, who is Mashiach, who is Yeshuah HaMashiach, who does Shaul and all of the ancient initiated Jewish Christians state that Yeshuah HaMashiach is. They say explicitly in the New Testament that Yeshuah HaMashiach is the Son of HaElohim. But Shaul takes it a step further and states that not only is he Mashiach, not only is he the Son of HaElohim, but he is also the image of HaElohim, which is a logical construct of being the Son of HaElohim. And who is the image of HaElohim? Well, we already know that that's Adam Qadmon, that is. And this is the seal and the proof. Not that it is needed from a chief Kabbalist like Shaul, because any basic holy initiate or adept will easily know this from his study of the ancient divine Torah. But it is for those that need this seal from a chief Kabbalist like Shaul. And this is in allusion to an even greater secret and mystery that he states in another one of his books, in 1 Corinthians in chapter 15, verse 45, where he states, very, very mystically, he states, and so it is written, the first Adam was made a living nefesh, or soul. The last Adam was made a quickening ruach, or spirit. This is very, very Kabbalistic. He's explicitly revealing very esoteric holy mysteries. He's no longer talking about just one Adam. No. Now he is mentioning that there are two Adams. To an unprofane, ignorant layman reading a translation of the Hebrew Torah, exoterically, he's going to have in mind that there is only one Adam. He's reading it as if there's only one Adam that is being spoken of, but not to the ancient Hebrew initiated mind. It is clear from the underlying Hebrew texts, for those that have a high reading comprehension, that there are many Adams being spoken of. And here we have Shaul saying, revealing very, very deep Kabbalistic esoteric matters. Who is he writing these letters to? These men must have already begun their initiation into the holy mysteries, because some of these verses in Shaul's writings are just way too esoteric, way too Kabbalistic, and full of holy mysteries. Now, as we proceed here in this teaching, you're going to begin to understand these two Adams and who they are, and what is being alluded to here. Now, Qabbalah, in its teaching on Adam, it teaches that there are 7 levels of divine exegesis on the creation of Adam. This is the case with all aspects of ancient Hebrew, whether it's a verse, a letter, or a parable, etc. You name it, there are 7 levels of divine exegesis with respect to the creation of Adam. Now, the 7th level is way too esoteric for this video, and we are not going to deal with or cover this highly esoteric and mystical level because it's just too deep, too great for this video. This video is more of an introduction. Now, the 5th or 6th levels deal with the creation of 2 principal atoms, or that there are 2 levels of Adam. Essentially, there are 2 atoms, as Shaul was alluding to in that verse. So, from this basic understanding, we may state that there are 2 atoms being spoken of in the creation account. One is good, one is evil. Now let us proceed with the proofs. Now, these proofs form the reconciliation of contradictions regarding the creation of Adam in the Torah. These are contradictions or antinomies that would only be understood by an ancient Hebrew initiate who has a very high level of reading comprehension and would have a high IQ in critical thinking and analysis. Okay, so let us start analyzing the text. Understand that this breakdown that I'm going to reveal here and demonstrate here is a high-level analysis of the underlying text of the creation of Adam. Okay, now this very high-level analysis is considered very basic when we compare it to much more in-depth, much higher-level analysis that are performed when you are reading and analyzing and breaking down the original Hebrew in an actual scroll of the Torah. But let us begin. The first point to make is that we read in Sefer Bereshith in chapter 1 verse 26 that Adam is created in the image of HaElohim, but then in chapter 2 it states that he is made or formed of dust. And so this is our first contradiction. Which is it? Is he made in the image of HaElohim, or is it of dust? Because these are 2 opposing principles. Dust, in no means, represents an image of HaElohim. I mean, this is just a basic fact. The next antinomy then is found in Sefer Bereshith in chapter 2 verse 7. It states, "And Adonai Elohim formed Adam of the dust of the ground." But in verse 15 it states, "And Adonai Elohim took the man whom he had made." So these are two different Hebrew verbs that are being used with respect to the creation of Adam. The first Hebrew verb, the underlying Hebrew there, is yotzer, which is the Hebrew for form. And then in verse 15, the underlying Hebrew verb there is aseh, which is Hebrew for make or mating, or make, making. So one Adam is being formed, but another Adam is being created. Again, this may be seen as a contradiction or an antinomy. Then the next one is found in chapter 3, verse 23, where it states, "Then Adonai Elohim sent him forth from the Garden of Eden." But in this next verse, he states, "And he," that is Adonai Elohim, "cast out Adam from the Garden of Eden." Again, this is another antinomy or contradiction. To sent out and cast out are 2 different verbs, 2 different things. One is good, one is bad. Me sending you out is one thing, me casting you out is a whole different matter. So these are the seals, these are the proofs. The reconciliation of these contradictions are the seals and proofs that indeed there are 2 atoms. There are 2 atoms here. One is superior, the other is inferior. Now, let us proceed to what one of the most initiated Kabbalists had to say on this matter. Not just any Kabbalist, but the Grand Master Kabbalist of his generation, which is Philon Judaeus, contemporary of Yeshuah HaMashiach. In his first treatise, Allegorical Interpretation, Book 1, in lines 53 to 55, this is what he has to say, discoursing on a very esoteric mystical level on the creation of Adam. He states, "Ergo, two Adams are introduced into the garden. One, a molded being, the other, after the image. For this reason, in describing Adam, whom Elohim only places in the garden, Moshe uses the word molded or formed, but of Adam, who he appoints both tiller and guardian, he speaks not as molded, but he says whom he had made. And one he receives, and the other he casts out." Yes. Hopefully now you can begin to understand why Philon Judaeus was much more than just a Grand Master Kabbalist. We're just scratching the surface here, fellow listeners. Now we know that there are two Adams. And two Adams, that is, these two beings have the same name, which is Adam, which implies that they are twins. One is good, who I will now reveal to you is Mashiach. We already know, I've already proven to you that Adam is Mashiach. So now we know that the superior Adam must be Mashiach. And if they are twins, well, then it logically follows that the other one who is evil must then represent Samael, or Lucifer. The proof? In the esoteric Kabbalistic method of gematria, the gematria of Mashiach is equivalent to the gematria of Nachash, which is serpent, which is 358. And so we may say that we have two sides of the same coin. There's just way too many esoteric mysteries here, that start branching out from this foundation that I have just laid. Way too many. And I just don't have the full time and space to reveal all of them in this video. As it is, this video is designed to be an introduction. But we may say that the bronze serpentine pole in the desert that Moshe elevated hints towards this mystical equation between Mashiach and Lucifer, or Samael. Now, let me give you the proof for those of you who are once again in disbelief or ignorant, or whose chemical precursors in the brain are already attempting to inhibit your comprehension of this esoteric mystical matter. We read in the ancient divine oracle, or an ancient divine oracle of Sefer Yehezkeyl, in chapter 28, verses 1 to 16, this is what the oracle states. Listen very, very carefully. "And the word of Adonai came again to me, saying, Son of man, say unto the king of Zor, Thus saith Adonai, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am El, I have inhabited the place of Elohim, but you are Adam and not El. Take up a lamentation upon the king of Zor, and say unto him, Thus saith Adonai, thou wast a signet in likeness and crown of beauty. In the garden of Eden of Elohim you were born. You were bound on every fine stone, emerald, sapphire, and jasper, silver, gold. From the day you were created, I placed you with the cherubim in the holy mountain of Elohim. You were born in the midst of fiery stones. You were born blameless in your days from the days you were created. until acts of iniquity were found in you, and you sinned and were wounded from the mountain of Elohim, and the cherubim drove you from the midst of the fiery stones. Now, if you have a high reading comprehension, then you should have a basic understanding from this verse that Kabbalistically, this oracle is mystically equating this Adam that it is speaking of with the king of Zor. Now, the Hebrew name Zor comes from the Hebrew root Zur, which can signify an adversary or to besiege. Ergo, we can then see that King Zor Kabbalistically represents Hasatan or Lucifer. And then that this Adam, who is also being equated with King Zor or is then Hasatan or Samael. And what does it say regarding this Adam? This is Adam. It's speaking of one of the two Adams in the Garden of Eden. This is the inferior Adam that it is speaking of. This is not the first superior Adam who is Mashiach, but the second inferior Adam who happens to be his twin brother, Lucifer, who was also born in the Garden of Eden like his twin brother, and who just happened to think that because he was made in the image of HaElohim, that he was HaElohim. And so sin was found in him. And so what does the oracle state? That the cherubim cast him out. Mystery and secret of chapter 3, verse 24 in Sefer Bereshit, where it states, and he cast him out from the Garden of Eden. And the cherubim placed swords to prohibit him from coming back in. That's the great secret and mystery of that verse in Sefer Bereshit. In chapter 3, verse 24, it's alluding to what's being revealed in this divine oracle. It is an allusion to the second inferior Adam, which is Lucifer, being cast out from heaven or the Garden of Eden. Now, for the great momentous point that needs to be made, which is Lucifer is not a cherub. Prithee understand this. It is great stupidity and great ignorance to say that Lucifer or Samael is this cherub or this high, mighty, exalted cherub. You display your stupidity and your ignorance when you say things like this, and yet over 99.9% of Christianity teaches this blatant, spurious point. No, Lucifer is not a cherub. Had they cross-referenced with the superior Septuagint, which is much closer to the original Masorah, they would have known better. But they only know what they've been taught. I'm sure many had good intentions, and I'm sure mercy will be shown to them. But they will still be held accountable for the spreading of this most spurious and fallacious doctrine or point, whatever you want to call it. I repeat, Lucifer is not a cherub. He is a son of HaElohim, just like Mashiach. They are twin brothers. They are the two chief gods, very, very powerful, mighty, and exalted beings. Much more exalted than a cherub. Yeshuah HaMashiach, may he have mercy. Now, the last point I want to make is speaking on the Mormons. Now, I've actually lived in Mormon town or country that is in the state of Utah near Salt Lake City. I actually lived there, I think, for about a year. And so I got to know the Mormons very well, and I actually have a lot of respect for the Mormons. Of all the sects of Christianity, I tend to find them to be one of the most advanced, if not the most advanced sect within all of Christianity. But with that said, they sadly enough, they are copycats of their older, wiser brethren, which is the Jews. As an example, they were black and white, just like us Orthodox Jews. They have an extra biblical book, which is called the Book of Mormon, just like we Orthodox Jews have the Talmud. And they also have very advanced, veracious Kabbalistic doctrines, which, of course, they copied from us. One example being that they teach that Mashiach is a brother of Lucifer, which is a very great Kabbalistic arcane pneuma, as I've just proven and demonstrated in this entire video, right? So all in all, it's just really sad that they are not grafted into the foundational olive tree vis-a-vis Asian Judaism like all the other Christian sects are, right? The olive tree represents the ancient foundation of Israel, which Judaism has perfectly maintained and kept since the beginning, okay? And the whole purpose of, the lost sheep of Israel, the lost 10 tribes, and the Christians, their whole objective and mission was to be regrafted. The key word here being regrafted into the olive tree. And how were they regrafted? We'll go read the New Testament. They were to go and study and be under the tutelage of the leading Rabbanan of Yehezkeyl and study in the synagogues. But what happened? It took less than a century for Christians to divorce themselves from their root and foundation, ancient Judaism, and go their own separate path, thus violating the Holy Covenant. A Christian, by definition, should be indistinguishable from an ancient Orthodox Jew like myself. And unfortunately, we do not see this. So they have failed to regraft themselves into the holy olive tree. And they think that they're going to make it to the temple in heaven. They like to speak of heaven as an outer court, inner court, and holy of holies. If you're not regrafted into the holy olive tree, you won't even make it to the outer court. But I'm digressing here. But anyways, I wanted to make that point. Well, shalom, everyone.